Hello.
Looks like we are on.
All right, we're live on Facebook. Good morning. How are you, Shailesh?
Good. How are you, Beg? Good
I'm
morning,
good.
Morena. We say Morena in Maori here. So good morning, Beg. Once again, good to be back with you. So are we going live now, or should we?
We're live now, yeah. We're live on Facebook now.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Welcome everyone once again to our last week. We started, just to give a recap on it, and last week our topic was personal boundaries, and this is a podcast series. We first of all, let me say once again, reiterate the fact that we are all one, and this attempt of us is to give you a sense of topics that really matters to humans, that really matters to humanity in a time of uncertainty. So we have to keep saying to us that we are all one. And this is Freedom of the Free Spirited, a podcast series that we started last Thursday, and with the topic called personal boundaries. But today we are going to continue our topics that really matters to us and to humanity and to all the people who are listening to this podcast series. So freedom of free spirited, we are going to start with the topic today with self-awareness, and I'm going to hand over to a beautiful host and who has come up with some wonderful topics that we both together are going to entertain you or give you a resonation or give you a real talk. This is a real talk with real humans and real experiences. So don't be shy to just ask us questions, because you are all real and we are all talking to you real people. So welcome once again, and over to Beck for this beautiful topic.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, today's just going to be a nice real chat just about self-awareness, really, and why it's so important to have self-awareness and, just to apply that in all aspects of your life, really. So if you do have any questions today, just pop them into the comment box down below, and I will try and get to them as they come through so we can clear those up for you as we go. So yeah, basically, let's just start. So self-awareness there's so much involved in it. There's so many different aspects to self-awareness, including the traits, behaviors, feelings, and how they all apply to your life, really. For me, self-awareness is how you really just view yourself externally and internally. It's been a journey for me personally to delve into my self-awareness and see where my walls are down, or where I'm not aware so much of different aspects in my life, really. So yeah.
So I have a question, Beck, to start
Yeah.
with. How did you, first of all, what triggered you to ensure that, okay, you are self-aware? What really triggered you to become that you are a self-aware person now, that who you are today?
So I think self-awareness is it's an everyday practice. So I just I want to clear that up there. Like I don't say I am self-aware, because it's a daily practice. It's something that
sure.
I'm constantly aware of. I'm constantly monitoring and just like checking in with myself as to where I'm at. So I do daily practices to make sure that I have self-awareness in all of my life. But I think, going back to your question there, I just noticed that things weren't sitting well with me. So, I was constantly, my emotions and my feelings were just, it was like a roller coaster. And I didn't have the answers as to why. Like, I wasn't on a roller coaster at the time. So for my energy and my emotions and reactions, I think, to just be constantly up and down and, bouncing off a wall, when at the time when my life was pretty, let's say, stable, pretty mellow. So that was probably the first time that I was like, there's something, like, I'm getting triggered, or I'm not understanding why I'm feeling the way I am. So I started looking into, I guess, my personal behavior. It was a big thing for me. Trying to understand behaviors around me. I'm going to put my dad into this one here. He was probably the first person that
Yeah.
I I took the time to analyze, because I wasn't understanding my own behaviors, and to the way that I viewed things, and how, I guess, just my understanding of the behaviors of my family and stuff. So I definitely did go and analyze my dad and his behavior patterns, to then be able to understand my own self-awareness, and where I was lacking, to why certain behaviors around me were triggering me. So I think it just comes down to a personal experience and personal journey. I'm sure everybody else has different marks in their life that make them question different aspects, I guess. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I guess there is something that always triggers one person to become. But it's interesting that you said that, okay, your family member is the first that makes you aware, like whether it's dad, your mom, or your siblings, or people around you. They do make you, or they do ensure that you become self-aware, because the way things are moving around you, you don't know why you're doing this and why you're doing that. But I guess that's where you understand that, okay, whether I like this or I don't like that. And that's your likings and dislikings continue every single day. And this is where then to me, that became like a self-awareness. So I do resonate what you say. When you are born, you want to understand that you are self-aware, that you are hungry, you are self-aware that you are thirsty, and you are self-aware that you want something from your surroundings. And I guess that's the first part for me, is becoming self-aware, that okay, but do we continue that self-awareness, or then you become more reliant on others, because then that
I think, no, I think, like, the more you are self-aware, the less reliant on others
yeah,
you become.
yes,
I do remember when I was younger that I did have people in my life, and, like, great friends, great, family support, that I relied on to carry me through
exactly,
the emotional roller coasters, without taking any responsibility as to how I was reacting. And yeah, for many years, I remember, sort of the late teens, that I was like, just going through a few things, and it wasn't my responsibility to handle that situation when I was in that situation myself. And
yeah,
I sort of found that I was reliant on certain friends and certain, role models in my life to explain what was happening, or to,
yeah,
like, answer for me. And so I think, no, when I became more self-aware, it definitely, I took the responsibility back, to have to understand my own life and me as an individual.
yeah,
I wanted everybody else to understand me and accept me, yet I hadn't accepted myself or understood myself. Yeah, yeah. So I think with going through that process, it definitely made me, and I guess that's where I went and explored my dad's upbringing and my granddad's upbringing to understand the way that, like, why he raised us, or you know, his role in bringing us up. I'm one of 5 girls, so dad was the only male in the house other than a few pets. So he was definitely outnumbered,
Right.
but yeah. So he attempted to make loud and clear, you know, his role in the family, which he did, but it pushed me to explore I guess his upbringing and his view, because even though he had such an impact on our upbringing, I still didn't quite understand
Yeah.
the reasons or his thoughts and views as to why he brought us up the way he did. Yeah. So it definitely pushed me to become more
More
aware of who
independent.
I was. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get that point. So basically, yeah, I for me, it was self-awareness started, as I said, like from the day I was born, but I didn't realize until when I was teenage and adult that what really I want. Or I was just dependent on others to tell me to do something, this and that. And that really was not one of the ingredients of self-awareness. So when I got the self-awareness awakening, it was very interesting that I realized that no, we are all doing this only because others are telling us. So what am I here for? Like, okay, why can't I listen to my ears and eyes and everything that I am looking at rather than what others are telling me to look at?
Yeah, definitely. I think you know, we all have and like having self-awareness, I think that's one of the areas that you develop your morals and your beliefs and the behaviors that you practice on a daily basis, you know. And I think you're right. I do agree with, you know, like you're born with self-awareness, but if we all have our own internal self-beliefs and morals and that, but
Absolutely.
as we grow and in the environments that we're in, I think at times our morals can be twisted if we're, you know, you're not grounded as much as you should be, I guess. Yeah. And I think
So
go ahead.
sorry. So
Yeah.
how do you relate this to your, like, our topic is freedom of free spirited, and free spirited means like basically you are ready to explore, ready, curious about everything, and you have become an awareness of your own skills, talents, and what you can do and what you can't do. You sort of know a little bit, but unless you explore, unless you try, you won't know. So when it comes to the spirituality aspect of it, which is the spiritual way of living or the free spirited way of understanding humans, otherwise humans are bounded by restriction system and everything, but you are still on your own as a self-aware, and you still can do everything and anything, with whether there is a system or no system, because that's your self-awareness, that's your belief, or that's your well-being, you know.
Yeah. So for me, there are 2 main parts of self-awareness. You have your internal self-awareness, and then you have your external self-awareness. So internally is the way that you view yourself and the way that so like it comes down to your confidence,
Yeah.
your morals, your
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, and your how you react, your responses, your behavior patterns, is your internal self-awareness. And then you've got external self-awareness, so the way that others view you,
Yeah.
how, you know, like, so how their opinion of you, or, you know, so how you carry yourself in community, in the
Yeah.
society, I guess. So um I think taking it back to you know, how do I relate that to, you know, the freedom one, we are one, sorry, free spirit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
is, I think, with being in tune with your own self-awareness and, you know, practicing that on daily, you are more open to have a better external self-awareness. So, you know, you'll accept the way people view you without criticism, and you're like,
Yeah.
you know, you're able to take that on, and I guess if it doesn't sit well with you, but then you know that you've got to, you know, there may be something that you need to work on. you know, in your
Yes.
own inner self-awareness, because I think external comes from internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the critics will always be there, whether you are acting on as a innerly self-aware or not. The critics will always be there, whether they'll, as I said, like likes and dislikes are the ones that we take and thrive on and take decisions on. And to me, it's more important is like what you like or what you feel is your actions, is your deeds. And if they are wrong in your terms or in others' terms, it doesn't matter. What I say, the reactions are going to be received by you only because you are the one who is taking those actions.
Yes.
So, so in
Yes.
that regard, but that doesn't mean that you should be like reliant on others. You should be more reliant on yourself. That's my ultimate
Yeah.
understanding of the whole self-awareness brings me to.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's your take on that?
I definitely agree.
Mm,
You'll always have critics. You'll always have, people
mm,
having their judgment,
yeah,
and letting you know what their opinion or view of you is, whether it's whether you agree or not, and whether
yeah,
it comes from.
mm,
Um, I think it just depends. Like for me personally, I appreciate people's view and on me because it helps me to grow. It
mm.
helps me
Of
to
course, yeah,
just, I guess, reflect on myself, individually. But then you do have to be mindful of who you're asking, those views from, and
mm,
who you don't
mm,
want to go and get a critic, or get somebody that's jealous that just wants to bring you down, because they're not going to give you the feedback that is going to be beneficial for your growth. It's just going to be to put you down, to step
yeah.
on over the top of you. So it just comes down to taking on board the opinions and views of the people that are there trying to pick you up and trying to support you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, no, for me, because self-awareness is nothing but a simple terms, if you want to explain to for me, is I would say that keep exploring, be curious, and the more you explore, the more you are aware of external things and your internal things, the more you are exploring. And there is no right or wrong or if or but, because that's your inner instinct is telling you, that your inner
Yeah.
intuitions are telling you that do this and do that, eat this and eat that, or drink this and drink that, is all about your awareness that is bringing up to the surface, right?
Yes.
So, and in terms of your deeds or your actions, what you want to do in whatever field and wherever, whichever field you want to go in, unless you explore, otherwise you are just thinking, but you are not exploring. So I personally feel that awareness is putting, not just getting aware of it, but also putting it into actions.
Yeah.
And that's the key to me, is like when you are self-aware of something, then take an action and don't worry about the results, whether it's going to be good for you or good for others, or bad for you or bad for others. It's not who you decide. The actions and the reactions will come back to you.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't stop you from exploring.
Yeah.
And that's where your inner, and I guess when it comes to free spirited, freedom of free spirit, which is properly executed, that you are a free spirit at the end of the day. When you're born, you don't know anything aware of it, but you are slowly learning and making aware to yourself about
Yeah.
your own surroundings, about your own inside, what's happening around you. And only you can tell, nobody else can tell.
And
Does
I
that?
think it
Hmm.
does. Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, I think you know, by by being self-aware, you also, like, it definitely, aligns with your personal boundaries, the topic we
Mm,
spoke about last week, because if
mm,
you aren't aware of, you know, um, aware of your own personal needs, like with how you want to be treated, with how you want to be spoken to, with how people look at you, you're boundaries will also fall down as well. You'll accept
Yeah.
the behavior, that is putting you down, or is that's continually trying to suppress you and to stop you from exploring,
Correct.
So
Mm.
I think I just want to sort of share like that people that do have that do lack self-awareness, they are the bullies. They are the ones that are continually trying to put you down and be negative. They're defensive, they're controlling, because they lack self-awareness in themselves. So I don't want to say it's unintentionally, because every situation is different, but when you do lack self-awareness, it just becomes that trait. You take that trait on, that you are the bully, you are controlling, because you don't know what your
Yeah.
I guess you don't know where your boundaries are, or you have no self-awareness of your behavior yourself. So knowing your own self-awareness, you're able to I guess acknowledge how you're treating other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, and this is where who you are as a human, what's your being as a human, what do you understand for others, and how do you understand yourself. So coming to my another elaboration or exploration with you is when you aware, so does self-awareness also leads to kind of your inner strength or inner kind of talents or inner skills that you haven't explored but you always wanted to do? And does that resonate with you to some extent, like you have been asking to
I
do?
think definitely, because I think when self-awareness is just a whole here, but when there are little layers beneath that as well, you are aware of who you are internally as a person, what your beliefs are, what your morals are, what your hobbies are, what your interests are. Because if you're not aware of who you are, how can you tell? How do you know that you like to paint? How do you know that you like to hike, or what your passions are, what your interests are, if you have no connection with who you are internally?
Yes.
So definitely, I think that being self-aware, you are able to explore your personality as an individual. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
To me, because to me, I did realize that, you are not born with just one label that you can do this and you can do that. So you got to keep exploring until you find yourself, and ultimately you don't find anything, but you find joy and you find blissful moments when you do certain things. And so you always have pleasant and unpleasant experiences whenever you do or whenever you try to do something. And that's where you understand that, okay, I can't do this because I don't like it. I can do it, but I don't like it. So there is two different things. You can do it because you are aware of it, but then are you having a joy, or are you having blissful moments, that I call it?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I do acknowledge, like, since I have been working on my self-awareness, there has been times that I am more confident. I have more, I will
Knowledge.
challenge myself more. Yeah. So I will push myself. And that, like, that hasn't been the whole time, obviously. Like, I've slipped, and, when I guess I've been lacking self-awareness, because there's, depending on the situation or what's been happening around me, life gets heavy sometimes, and you sort of forget about doing those daily practices to remind yourself of how you're handling the environment or the situation, the environment that you're in, I should say. But no, definitely, when I am more aware of myself, I am more creative. I do, I paint, I draw, or I will push myself to try something new. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And as well, I have more courage to, I guess, join a topic of conversation that I'm not, I don't know too much about. Whereas when I am, when I don't have the confidence, I won't even say my opinion because,
Correct.
you know, I'm worried about how my opinion or view is going to be seen. So, you know, like that's just a view or opinion. That's not actually who I am. Like, does
Yeah,
that make sense?
true.
Yeah, so definitely.
That's definitely because I think today's world in the social media and everything, people, they do write words and statements which affects a lot of people, but they actually may not mean that. They may actually not know what they are saying, and yet they are doing it without
Yeah.
their own experiences, without sharing their own experiences. If you write something, then you are definitely getting into lots of misleading, lots of I call it an emotional abuse, or a well-being is affected for
Yeah.
others. May not be for you, but for others it should. And this is where we are all talking about. We are in a situation, uncertain times, when we have to show that strength of we are one. And so when we say we are one, that means what affects you should also affects others. So you got to be
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
mindful
definitely.
of
And
that.
for sure, yeah. And I think, you know, when you like, for me, it's really made me voice my opinions or, you know, my morals a lot more louder. And I just can't, I struggle to stand by and watch something happen that I don't agree with. I know if I was in that situation, I definitely would, you know, would like somebody to step in and help me. Like, you know, so if something that I didn't agree on or, you know, sort of was against my morals, I definitely have the confidence to step in now.
To step in, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know where, like, I'm so aware with where I'm at and what I agree on and what I don't, I guess.
Don't agree, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, that's really important for me. That's probably one of the main reasons for me. And I think everyone would have a reason to sort of, you know, like continue out of practice. But for me, when I am not self-aware, when I, you know, I'm just disconnected from my body and from myself, those things slip away for me. So it's definitely important for me to continue my daily practices and continue being connected with my internal self to know where my boundaries are for society, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. In your day-to-day journey, that when you wake up, when you do things, and when you start doing every single day, there's always moments that are, you don't know what to do, you don't know what you can do and what you can't do, but you're just thinking and your thoughts process come in. But this is also an acknowledgement of your own thoughts and own views and own awareness. I guess from my point of
Yeah.
view, that's all a process of your self-awareness that leads you and moves you further and further. So how do you
Yeah, definitely.
motivate yourself with your self-awareness, so-called, that you have got so far? How do you move forward in terms of your day-to-day journey?
So I guess I journal a lot. You know, I start my day with journaling. I start my day with gratitudes, and then, you know, depending on my what's in my day, I guess what my schedule is, will be the practices that I do before I leave the house. But just in it, like, you know, even daily, like if I'm walking the street to work, you know, in the shopping center, I'm more present with what's going on around me and acknowledging on how the environment is affecting me. So, you know, in the past, I probably would have just like ignored a lot of things, but now I realize that I am more present wherever I am. You know, I notice a lot of things. I'm driving down the street and there's homeless people. Like that really bothers me. Rather than just driving past and just being there, I find myself I focus on it, and then I'm thinking about, or what can I do as an individual to help that situation, or, you know, so I guess for me on a daily practice, you know, personally, I'm just more present with my thoughts, and rather than pushing them thoughts under the carpet, I allow myself to sit in them to then, process what's ever happening. Yeah, I guess because when I do disregard what's happening around me, I find that I detach from, my awareness. Yeah, because
So
there
do
is so
you
much
think,
going on in our community and the world that,
yeah,
I feel it pushes us to disconnect from you as an individual.
yeah,
And
yeah,
the world, like the government, and whatever your view is on that, but for me, I feel that they all want us to think the same way. So, to
mm,
not have our own thoughts, to not have our own beliefs,
yeah,
and to just, be one mass that follows.
absolutely.
Yeah. So for me,
Mm,
I like to stay present with my thoughts, and and I guess
mm,
at the moment, well, lately, at times I can be more emotional,
mm,
because different thoughts affect me differently.
mm.
But those emotions will fly back out as soon as I've acknowledged them and processed the thoughts, rather than
Mm.
push it under the carpet. Yeah.
So have you noticed that becoming or by becoming a self-aware person that you are today in whatever sense, the way you think and the way you are, in your view, in your experience at this moment, do you think that you're more focused now on, as you said rightly, present moments, present thoughts? So living in the moments is the key for your own well-being, your emotional well-being. Would you say
Definitely.
that?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah. I think being present and being in the moment has, yeah, it's
Lots of,
definitely
mm,
key for me. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I guess today we are living in a world or in a system or in an uncertain kind of environment where emotional well-being has been challenged from all angles and from all aspects.
Yeah.
So self-awareness, I guess, is the key for this emotional challenge. And
Yeah.
whether you become self-aware of, okay, you have this hidden talent, or whether you become self-aware of, hey, you can do this which you haven't been done this, or whether you think you were supposed to do it but you didn't get an opportunity, but now is the chance to do it and to prove yourself rather than others.
Yeah.
Is it a good kind of analysis that I can take it from here, big,
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
one
Yeah.
should really do that and
Yeah.
try new things and try explore their own talents and skills, and which
Yeah.
they have
Definitely.
regretted not doing it, so they got an opportunity to do it now.
Yeah. I think, like there is many layers to self-awareness. We can't just say that, like, being aware that you could have a talent and practicing it, your will. I think, like, that, there's emotions, there's your energy, there's behaviors, everything comes to play in it. So
Mm.
I think it's a little bit more than just saying, like, well, I can do it and do it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah, but definitely being present and believing in yourself and having the confidence to explore those layers
Mm.
of you and as an individual, it'll definitely help you to have the confidence to explore your talents and explore
So
your views and thoughts.
another I wanted to ask or discuss about this is, in the environment that currently we are, many people think, or many humans might think that this is not the right time to do it. This is not the right time for my field or my area or my expertise or my skills, because there is nothing happening around this or around that. They may feel it, but they may have not explored it, they may have not experienced it, but they are feeling it because of maybe some others views or others telling them.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to draw a line. Like, self-awareness doesn't mean that you have to be reliant on others. Self-aware means, as you rightly said before, that you are aware of the external things happening around it, and you want to know. And that's the
Yeah.
key, that you take everyone's views and opinions, but not necessarily implement it just because it is advisable, because what you feel good or what you feel right should be explored. But my question is, how do you explain to those people who are pushing back or in the fear or in the views of others, even though they haven't experienced themselves? What would be your message to them, being you yourself aware of the living in the moments, living your present thoughts, So do they explore it? Do they take that risk? It's not a risk to me, it's just doing deeds, but they may feel
Yeah,
it's risk. So
yeah,
what will be
definitely.
your message to them?
So I think a lot of people do have fear about, if they were to explore
Hmm.
their, their views or how they see a situation or, what's happening around them, that it's not their place. They don't have, they're not involved or it's not happening to them.
Yeah,
So they'll just be quiet. They'll just let it happen. Um,
correct.
and I think it does come back to fear, and it does come back to trying to please the people around you.
Yeah,
Trying to keep the peace, but you're not really keeping the peace because you're not stepping in to help.
true.
And I think there are people that don't agree with a lot of things, but they're in a position, or they've put themselves in a position to not be heard or to not, sort of help.
Mhm.
I guess I just like to ask them, if the shoe was on the other foot, if you were in that position,
Mm.
if you're in a situation, um, what would you like to happen?
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably, I can't tell anybody how they need to do
No, you don't
anything
have to tell,
or
but
what
like
they
what
should
you
do,
have
but
done,
I
like you
think I
have
like to
explored.
ask them that, to give themselves the advice,
Yeah.
so it's, for me, it's how, like, I always go back to, um, how would I like to be treated? How would I like to,
Correct.
be helped?
Mm. Mm.
What support would I benefit from? So that's the angle that I come from, so it's all like, I like to support how I would like to be supported,
Mm.
and yeah. So I just, so for me, that's would be
But
the advice.
does exploring anything and everything as oneself should depend on others? My question to you is that what's your take on that?
Should depend on others.
Yeah, like exploring, if I have to explore something, should I have to depend on others to tell me whether I should explore or not?
Oh no, no.
Exactly.
I think it definitely, everybody has
Mm.
different views. Everyone has,
Yeah.
different beliefs, and
Mm.
yeah, everyone's mind is different, is curious differently, So I
Curious.
think you'll the easiest, I guess the best place to start exploring,
Mm.
and the easiest place is what interests you.
Mm.
What where you find joy, what will make you happy. Because then once you start exploring those areas, you'll get a bit more confident just pushing the boundary in other areas that you might not be confident, or that you might
Mm.
not agree on so much, but you need to find answers or want to clarify or want to get some clarity on the situation. um yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Did that answer
because
that question?
yeah, I think you're right. For me, my views or my experiences that I have gained myself through this whole process and till date, and even moving forward, it will be the same. That, as you said perfectly, is live in the moments and live with your present thoughts rather
Yeah,
than thinking, overthinking, or over analyzing, or
yeah,
looking at the past and doing. No, we don't have to do that. So that's probably my message would be also is in simple terms, that keep exploring things, don't depend on others for you to tell them. Yes, you can take the views and opinions, and you can be curious about how they have done it and all that. That's nothing stops you from exploring that.
yeah,
However, when it comes to your well-being, when it comes to your implementation and your exploration, it is always a memories and experiences of many, many layers. And
yeah,
then you find your way into that, basically.
definitely, yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think, as you do explore more, you will find,
Mm.
you'll find out who your character is more. So you know what I mean? Like you'll
Exactly.
find out what
Who you are, what you
what
are,
matters to you.
what
Yeah.
matters to
And then,
you.
you know,
Yeah.
like if you yeah. And it comes hand in hand with your boundaries, because that'll help, you know, it'll define to you what you agree with and what you don't agree with, and what you'll accept and don't accept. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think my self-awareness is I have strengths and I have weaknesses, you know, in
Correct.
different areas of my self-awareness. And I think
Yeah.
the areas that have affected me more, I'm so aware of, and I am now passionate about being a change, you know. And so the things that have affected me, I'm definitely I'm loud about trying to, you know, sort of step in and be a change, or, you know, sort of make other people see that behaviors and situations might not be right, may not be correct. And just because it's not happening to you, it doesn't mean, you know, that you shouldn't or can't step in. Yeah.
Because I guess you are challenged every single moment when you do things, and you are challenged with your emotions, and your well-being is all a part and parcel of your deeds and your actions. And from that angle, self-awareness or self basically beliefs, whatever your self-belief or self-curiosity that you definitely should explore on your own and not depend on
Definitely.
others. You
Yeah.
can take support, but you'd got to do it yourself and
Oh,
make
definitely.
it.
And, you know, like your well-being is all a personal journey, you know. So all of our
Yeah.
topics, you know, the next few weeks, it's all, you know, a personal journey. It's something that you do individually for yourself, you know. So you're not trying to, you're not lifting your boundaries, or you're not, you know, sort of defining where your areas of weakness are in your self-awareness for anybody else other than
Correct.
yourself.
Mm.
You know, so it all comes back to your personal journey. It all comes back to your personal character. And I think for me, my self-awareness has definitely assisted in my purpose in life. You know, it drives me every day to
Right.
focus on areas, you know, that I want to, yeah,
Focus or do something. And
yeah,
that was my exact next question was, what a coincidence that I was about to ask you that,
yeah.
hey, how would you define, like, you want to do because you are aware of it now that you want to do it, but say for instance, for some reason you also have got thoughts that's telling you, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, but one part of your body tells you, your mind tells you that no, you can't do it, you should do it. And then how it becomes a difficult situation, in a challenging situation, that you want to do it because you are self-aware of it and you want to do it now.
Yeah.
But then to put it together, you need maybe n number of things to do it, or doesn't need to do it. So now that's a challenge, that how do you collect all the pieces and make it happen? So this is a hard kind of question for every time, for anyone, for any person. However, becoming a self-aware in your you view that you have been challenged each time, how do you come out of this, or how do you make it happen, or how do you tell yourself that, hey, if I'm not able to do it now, I may do it tomorrow or whatever, or just do it now and with your whatever resource that you have got? How do you do that? Because that can lead to frustration, right, if you're not able to do it.
Definitely, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you know, like when you've got something in mind that you or you want to have a better outcome, and you know, like it's going
Yeah,
to take
better
a
outcome.
while
Yeah, I agree.
for that
Yeah.
to happen. I think frustration is definitely going to come to play, but there's a bigger picture in, you know, in being self-aware that you know, things don't just happen overnight, and
True.
when it's not,
It's a manifestation of every single
yeah,
day, I
it
guess.
is definitely. And for me to continue with my purpose, you know, from being self-aware, it's a daily, it's a, you know, moment by moment sort of drive that I've got to continue. And I think I have an idea of how I would like things. And you know, it's not just, I'm not just involved in that idea. So so I can't expect things to happen overnight, or to
Absolutely.
you know, as soon as I voice my view or opinion, you know, it's not going to happen, because there's more than myself involved in the outcome. So I think just,
I
you
guess.
know, being on purpose and being, you know, sort of, yeah, I think I would
Yeah,
have
it
to
is quite difficult. But for me, like, if I'm always in that situation where every single day I want to do something, and then how do I do this, and what do I do it, or what's the best I can do it now, is what I narrow it down to. And I think that's one of the things that
Yeah.
you could do it for your own well-being, rather than leading up to regrets or frustrations, or thinking that I didn't do it, or I can't do it, or I'll do it later, which never comes. So rather than that, just do it with your minimum, whatever ideology that you
Definitely.
got.
And, you know, and you can only do what you can do.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's, you know, it's better than doing nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always,
So,
and
you
that's.
know, I'm in a position now that, and I guess, you know, some of us would be, but, you know, people do reach out to me and, you know, and ask for help. And, you know, I have had a few friends that have attempted to take their life, you know, and it's really difficult, you to just not try and help. So, you know, like for me, there would be so much more regret and so much more hurt if I didn't make that effort. If it wasn't, you know, like my purpose is to live life. My purpose is to explore and to be here. You know, we are here for a purpose. Everybody's for their individual purpose. We're all important, you know, in this world, and we all have something to offer. So for me, my purpose is to remind people that, you know, like that's really close to my heart.
Sure.
And you know, if I miss that opportunity to reach out and to help and support, then I haven't kept to my word and my purpose, you know. So it's definitely a daily practice for me that it doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be,
No,
like life changing, or, you know, like you're not going to change the world tomorrow, but every small step and every, you know, little assistance will change eventually.
Yeah, as I said, like, self-awareness just leads to a recognition of your own self, leads to your own being as a human, and leads to yourself as who you are here, what's your purpose, as you said, Ingrid, in that. And you got only one opportunity, you get only one chance to do that, and you don't expect that every time somebody will come to you and seek support from you.
That's right.
But whoever comes, it's that one-time opportunity that you got to make sure that you do it and you do your deeds. And I guess
exactly. And I think as a collective, as a, you know, as a whole, as a collective, you know, if we can all assist each other, then the world would be a much nicer place to be in.
Absolutely.
You know,
The world, at least your world that you are living in, you can create your own world. You don't have to live in a world that is all negative or that doesn't resonate with you. You got an opportunity to create your own world, I guess. And this is where the self-awareness becomes a big important part of every individual. If they start realizing who they are, what's their purpose are, or why they are here, and why they are getting only one opportunity, or why they are getting this opportunity, and so why can't they do that? Basically, why do they ignore? Why do they have to ignore it and then regret it later?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because, you know, going back, I think it's true. I think that we are all one. That, you know, so the way, like, you know, my friends, my family, strangers in the street, what affects them affects me. So, you know, like my purpose in life is to try and I guess limit the effects on other people. You know, like, you know, from my own experiences, I think that's probably what was, you know, the first main push for me, was that, you know, I don't want anybody to experience what I've experienced. So if I can assist into, you know, like in my lessons and, you know, teachings that I've had already, that, you know, if I can share those and assist others
Absolutely.
to not go through the same experiences and trauma that I have, but then, you know, I've helped one more person. And I think then if they go on and do the same, and the next, you know, like it'll be a much nicer, friendlier world for all of us to live in, because, you know, how one is affected, we're all affected.
Yeah. No, definitely I agree, Beck. I think we are all one is just not words, but these are something that you can put yourself into implementation and existence. And I guess from that point of view, I think we all have to show our existence by saying these words, we are all one. It's not just words by saying it, but we have to show and implement that we are all one by showing our presence. So keep yourself as a presence rather than asleep, try to be awake, I would say, in simple words, so that you know you are awake for others, for surroundings, for your own self, you are awake, and you are always showing your presence and existence in this whole environment that currently we are living in. So yeah, so from that point of view, definitely I feel that it's a good awareness, self-awareness. And I think it resonates a lot with our spiritual journey. And our spiritual journey is nothing but making awareness for yourself, that who you are, why you are here, what are your eyes doing, what are your ears doing, what are your body is doing, and what are your mind and soul is doing. If you are aware of your own, then you can definitely make a huge impact on your surroundings and yourself. Does that make sense, Vic?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, resonate a lot with that.
Yeah. So final message, anything that you want to say to the audience about this self-awareness in these difficult times that we are all in, but we are all one. So what do you want to say?
I think, I've lost words now. Yeah.
How do you want to show your presence, Vic? Let me rephrase the question to you. How do you want to show your presence in this universe that we are living in?
I think just showing my presence.
I guess.
Well, again, coming back, sorry.
I guess being yourself is the first thing that you can show.
Yeah, definitely. So,
you don't want, people should not judge you, who you are, what you are, or the way you are, but the way you are, just the way you are, basically, and acknowledge.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think, you know, by acknowledging, you know, like who I am, you know, I'm being self-aware, that, I think it'll just show other people to, I guess, take the stand and be self-aware of themselves as well.
So once again, audiences, we are here once again with this topic, and I would like to say my last words and then leave it for Beck to conclude it. So my last words and final words is for this topic. It is very close to me, self-awareness, right from the way I got awareness of doing things, of curious about many things, and trying to do things that matters to me, trying to do things that matters to the humanity is my whole purpose that I have found as a self-aware. And so I will keep doing that until I am able to do it. But most importantly, rather than doing, it's also your thoughts counts, and your thoughts also leads to actions. So your thoughts are the most important thing. So I think self-awareness comes from your thoughts. And so try to acknowledge your own thoughts and don't try to rely on other thoughts. As I said in my final thing is self-awareness definitely, according to me, leads to self-reliant, because then you are not dependent, you become independent. But in that process, you also make others independent, because people do look out for each other and then understand how you do and what you do. So that was my final message is self-awareness leads to self-reliance. So become self-reliant, try to become and take as much as help, support, seek that you are, and be curious and keep exploring and keep communicating and talking, because that's the whole leads up to the your well-being, leads up to others' well-being. And emotional well-being is nothing but your own self, that you can keep, just like you eat food for your tummy to satisfy your hunger, your mind needs also something. And your mind, what your mind needs is all self-reliance and independent and not dependent. So that's what I would conclude with my words, and hope people will resonate. And if they resonate, please do write to us and please ask any questions that you have, and Beck can take it forward. So over to Beck.
Thank you, Shailesh. I don't think I could put it in better words than you just did. We could talk on this topic for hours.
I know, we could, but
definitely. No, so yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there today, and just thank you for tuning in from wherever you are. If you're watching the replay, just can you just pop a comment in #replay, just so we know when you're checking in and watching us. And again, if you do have any questions, just reach out, let us know, and we'll try to get them answered. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Beck. We look forward.